It's midday in Dakar, 1 o'clock in Abuja. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and worldwide on WADR.org. Welcome to Newslink, and here are the top stories. Senegal's presidential frontrunner Bashir Diomaye Faye promises transparency and renewal in post-election address.
Je voudrais reconnaître et saluer l'attachement de notre peuple à la démocratie, à la justice et à l'égalité. Je remercie et
I would like to recognize and pay tribute to our people's commitment to democracy, justice and equality.
Agitation hits Mali as opposition coalition calls for civilian transition to ensure presidential election organization. Togo adopts a new constitution to move to a parliamentary system of government. And Ghana's Fair Wages and Salaries Commission knocks striking teachers for not obeying the law.
The question that I want to ask, which is missing from all your argument, is that our teachers, whatever their grievances above the laws of this country, do you think that we should have a country where our teachers do not respect the laws of this country?
Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Imo Edit with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining us and a warm welcome to our listeners in the Gambia, Ghana and Liberia. Well, let's begin this afternoon in Senegal, where the leading presidential candidate in the recently concluded election, Bashir Diomaye Faye, addressed the public. Well, Francis Boniface captures a speech in this report.
In his address, Diomaye highlighted the emerging trends from the polls while awaiting the official proclamation of results by the National Electoral Commission. He commended the exemplary conduct of his opponents and expressed gratitude to the outgoing president, Macky Sall, for ensuring transparency and fairness in the electoral process. In the same vein, Diomaye praised Senegalese citizens for their unwavering commitment to democracy and justice, acknowledging the hardships endured by the people in previous years. Bassirou Diomaye Faye pledged to govern with humility and transparency while prioritizing the fight against corruption at all levels.
Je voudrais reconnaître et saluer l'attachement de notre peuple à la démocratie, à la justice et à l'égalité. Je remercie et félicite.
I would like to recognize and pay tribute to our people's commitment to democracy, justice and equality. I would also like to thank and congratulate all the leaders of the political parties, associations, citizens' movements and independent personalities who ensured the practical organization of the election. The international observers, whom I would also like to thank, will no doubt testify to the regularity of the ballot. By electing the President of the Republic, the Senegalese people have chosen the brick with the past that our vision of society has inspired and given substance to their aspirations. I pledge to govern with humility and transparency and to fight corruption at all levels.
Meanwhile, WADR gathered reactions from a cross-section of the electorate.
First, there is the character, the surprise, and then it makes a turning point in the history of Senegal. It's as if we were witnessing a renewal of the ruling class. The management of the state, they are going to put the parties completely to the sidelines. They will choose individuals, not party members, because this person came.
I expect him to bring something new to the justice system, for example, so that the President of the Republic no longer has any real impact on the justice system.
Qu'il amène quelque chose de nouveau dans le cadre de la justice, par exemple.
I think this country is going to see a lot of changes as a result of the election. There's going to be a new era. A lot of things are going to change. The population is going to be able to identify with the state. They are going to be able to work together. And life, I think, is going to be less expensive. Let them change the system completely.
More than 7 million people were registered to vote in a country of roughly 17 million. To win, candidates had to secure more than 50% of the vote. It was Senegal's fourth democratic transfer of power since gaining independence from France more than 6 decades ago.
Francis Boniface reporting there. Barely 48 hours after the presidential election in Senegal, civil society organizations closely monitoring the process are raising concerns about the future of civic freedoms as the new government prepares to take over the helms of affairs. Senegal civic space has witnessed a shake-up ahead of the 2024 presidential elections, from arrests of civil society activists to ban on demonstrations. Meanwhile, reactions are pouring in from the Gambia following Jomai Faye's apparent victory at the March 24 elections in Senegal, pending his official declaration by the National Elections Commission. Gambia's President Adama Barrow has joined outgoing Senegalese President Macky Sall and other contenders in the 2024 election in congratulating Faye on his electoral success. Reporting from Banjul, WADR's Sankuli Janko says President Barrow commends both the Senegalese authorities and the populace for overseeing a peaceful electoral process.
President Barrow extended his congratulations to Bassirou Diomaye Faye through his official X account, following Amadou Ba's concession of defeat on Monday. He lauded the Senegalese people for their peaceful conduct during the presidential election, emphasizing his optimism for continued strengthening of the amicable relationship between the Gambia and Senegal under the new government's leadership. Given Senegal's pivotal role as the Gambia's sole neighbor, the outcome of Senegal's election carries both direct and indirect implications for various aspects of Gambian life. WADR sought the opinions of some Gambians regarding Diomaye Faye's election.
It's important as a Gambian that the election was peaceful and there are no problems. As a Gambian and a neighbor, I have families in Senegal. I hope he will be one guy that also will create a good relationship between Gambia and Senegal that we always need.
Well, Diomaye's victory is a rebirth of Pan-Africanism. They believe in Africa. PASTEF is like a school built to enlighten the youth and empower the youth.
According to Aïssata Kali, Senegalese youths deserve commendation for taking proactive steps, noting their pivotal role in shaping the election's outcome.
The young people of Senegal, they went out in their large numbers to vote, which, we are going to commend them for. I would like to congratulate the entire Senegalese people. Congratulations to Ousmane Sonko for his sacrifice, but also, the entire young people of Senegal for basically standing their ground and believing in what they believed in.
Senegal's influence on Gambia's socio-economic development cannot be overstated, as the future trajectory of Senegal-Gambia foreign policy under a new leadership remains uncertain, awaiting further developments over the next 5 years. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, I am Sankuli Janko reporting from Banjul.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
As the population awaits the official announcement of the Senegalese election results, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS Election Observation Mission, is presenting its report. With around 130 observers, ECOWAS was able to monitor the electoral process in all 46 departments spread across the 14 regions of Senegal on election day. From general assessment, deployed observers noticed the high turnout rate of especially young people, women, and disabled persons. Electoral officials, materials, and heavy security presence enabled the peaceful of the vote. Abdul Fattah Musa is ECOWAS Commissioner for Peace and Security. Welcome to Dakar. The team observers deployed for the exercise as election declaration is being awaited.
It's on behalf of the President of the Commission that I would want to once again, and on behalf of the high table here, to welcome you from wherever you've been. We are very proud that you were able to submit in real time, all your observations from the thousands of, polling stations that you were able to observe throughout the territory of Senegal. And our team also here, the Situation Room, was able to contact you whenever there were any issues for clarification and all that. Meaning, that our Situation Room has already, put together a draft, something like declaration, which we are supposed to make together with the African Union Observer Mission at the Radisson Hotel around 2 p.m. today. And thank you for your service to the community by accompanying our brothers and sisters of Senegal through this what appeared to be a very difficult transition, democratic transition, but thank God we are where we are, we've arrived, and there is already a president-elect, and Nobody has died.
That was Abdul Fattah Musa, ECOWAS Commissioner for Peace and Security. Well, away from Senegal now, the Burkinabe authorities have announced the commencement of National Days of Patriotic Commitment and Citizen Participation starting today, March 26. Introduced by Transitional President Captain Ibrahim Traore, these days are designed to reaffirm national identity and honor the legacies of Captain Thomas Sankara. The initiative is slated to run for 15 days and will be repeated on October 2nd, 2024. Well, here is Captain Ibrahim Traore as he elaborates on the motivations behind this endeavor.
Ces dates n'ont pas été choisies pour rien. C'est pour rendre hommage.
This date was not chosen for nothing. It was chosen to pay tribute to the father of the revolution, Captain Thomas Sankara. We will remember 26 March 1983, when Thomas Sankara, still Prime Minister of Upper Volta, gave a speech asking the question, who are the enemies of the people? Later, on 2nd October, they gave the political orientation speech. These speeches revealed the father of the revolution to the people of Burkina Faso and the whole world. That's why this date was chosen, so that for a fortnight, the people of Burkina Faso can, on one hand, introspect, and on the other hand, also take patriotic action, because the fight led by Captain Thomas Sankara was a fight that should enable Burkina Faso to be free, to be sovereign, to be respected, and to be independent. Today, we are continuing the same fight, the fight for freedom, sovereignty, and independence.
Aujourd'hui, nous poursuivons le même combat, ce combat de la liberté, de la souveraineté et de l'indépendance.
Head of the transition in Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traore, speaking there. Now, the February 20 appeal to save Mali is urgent for a civilian transition to facilitate the organization of the presidential election. The opposition coalition asserts that today, Tuesday, March 26, signifies the conclusion of the current transition period in the country. However, it implores the current authorities to fulfill their pledge. Since the postponement of the presidential election was announced last September, no alternative date has been provided. Here's more details with David Vincent in this report by WADR's Aliu Cham in Bamako.
2 years following the enactment of the presidential decree aimed at concluding the transition period, there has been no discernible progress. A definitive date for the presidential election remains elusive. Recent developments have seen mounting calls for the transitional authorities to relinquish power after the 26th of March 2024. One such voice is the appeal of February 20 to save Mali. This collective, comprising various political parties and civil society organizations, advocates for a civilian-led transition to facilitate the organization of the presidential election. Among its ranks is Badra Aliou Sako, president of the Forum of Civil Society Organizations in Mali and a coalition member. The coalition is vocal in its condemnation of several crises, notably the prolonged energy crisis adversely affecting the populace for months. Despite these challenges, Badra Aliou Sako, representing civil society, urges the transitional authorities to initiate dialogue with the nation's key stakeholders to navigate the country out of its current predicaments.
The report was voiced by David Vincent and filed in by WDL's Aliu Cham in Bamako. You're listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar. Here is a reminder of the top stories. Senegal's presidential frontrunner Bashir Diomaye Faye promises transparency and renewal in post-election address. Agitation hits Mali as opposition coalition calls for civilian transition to ensure presidential election organization. And still ahead in the news, Togo adopts a new constitution to move to a parliamentary system of government. Ghana's Fair Wages and Salaries Commission knocks striking teachers for not obeying the law. We do have the press review, a guest interview, and sports news. Please stay with us.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Well, don't forget that we are streaming live on WADR.org, Facebook, and YouTube. In Togo, the National Assembly adopted a new constitution on Monday evening, changing the current presidential system into a parliamentary system. The text voted with 89 votes for, 1 against, and 1 abstention, marks the transition of the country to the Fifth Republic upon its promulgation. It was proposed by deputies from the Union for the Republic, the ruling party in the parliament where the opposition is very weakly represented, following its boycott of the last legislative election in 2018. Ogiberika has the details.
From now on, the President of the Republic does not govern but has symbolic powers. Elected by the Parliament meeting in Congress for a single mandate of 6 years, he is the guarantor of national unity and the continuity of the state. Until then, the mandate of the Togolese head of state, elected by direct universal vote, was 5 years, renewable once. The law introduces a new position, the President of the Council of Ministers. Elected for a 6-year term, the latter is the leader of the majority party in Parliament and represents the country in place of the President of the Republic in official meetings. The date of entry into force of the text is not yet specified by the Togolese authorities, while the legislative elections must be held in less than a month, precisely on April 20, 2024, in the same period as the regional elections, which the opposition has announced that it will participate. Coming to power in 2005 in Togo, President Faure Gnassingbé succeeded his late father, Eyadema Gnassingbé, who ruled the country with an iron fist for nearly 38 years. For almost 2 decades, his power was constantly strengthened with the help of Parliament.
Ogiberika reporting there. Ghana's Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, FWSC, has come hard on school teachers over the ongoing nationwide strike. The Commissioner's Chief Executive, Ben Arthur, speaking on local media, claimed that the teachers' unions had disregarded the processes for declaring a strike and had also failed to respect an order by the National Labour Commission (NLC) for them to call off their strike. He also lambasted them for failing to show up for a meeting called by the FWSC and its mother agency, the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations.
The National Labour Commission directed the teachers to comply with the laws of this country, which has been duly passed by Parliament of this nation, set up by our Constitution, and duly constituted. The question that I want to ask, which is missing from all your argument, is that our teachers, whatever their grievances above the laws of this country, do you think that we should have a country where our teachers do not respect the laws of this country? What type of country do you want to live in? What do you want to teach our kids? Where you have gone on strike with a reverend minister leading it, at the end of the day, you have failed to comply with the labor laws of this country. That at the end of the day, you've declared the strike, but there are procedures, there are provisions as to what must happen before you can really embark on a strike. You failed to notify the employer. Fair wages was not in the known. What was statutory of you notifying the National Labour Commission was also not done.
On March 20, the 3 teacher unions, namely the Ghana National Association of Teachers, GNAT, Ghana National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, and the Coalition of Concerned Teachers, Ghana, CCTGH, declared a strike due to unsatisfactory conditions of service. According to the unions, the government had failed to renew its collective agreement, among other concerns, following its expiration in 2023.
This is the Newspaper Review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the Newspaper Review.
The Newspaper Review.
Let's now join Darlington Pop in Monrovia for the Newspaper Review.
For today's edition of Press Review, we have the front page Africa newspaper, the hot pepper, and the newspaper. We will begin the review process with the front page Africa newspaper that says, where the budget falls short. See the photograph of Finance Minister Boma Kamara. We will leave it right there. Still on the front page, Africa newspaper. $5 million Liberian worth of drugs busted. 17-year-old seller among the suspects. On the back page of the front page, Africa newspaper is all about sports. That says, Liberia battles Djibouti today. From the front page, Africa newspaper, we move over now to the hot pepper newspaper. 44-year-old Senegal's fate set to become president in opposition victory. Kasser Kun Foundation donates to several mosques. On the back page of the hot pepper newspaper, BMMC committed to deliverables, senior official manager says. Community activists urge President Boakai to dismiss Labor Minister and Immigration Service boss. Community activist George Sam is calling on President Joseph Yuma Boakai to, with immediate effect, dismiss the Minister of Labor, Councillor Cooper Kra, and the Commissioner General of the Liberia Immigration Service, Steve Zago, for allegedly shading Conti Grober inserted in an alleged organized crime relating to $40 million United States biometric work permit and resident permit. We will leave it right there. We see the photographs of these two officials. Free thinkers dissents on Representative Yeke Kolobov. On that note, thank you so much for following, and bye-bye.
Darlington Papadane Monrovia with the newspaper review.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Well, our guest this afternoon is a civil society actor and a member of the Arsuni election platform, Mamjara Sobel. In this interview, she talks about the expectations of the population from the incoming administration.
I think that we have to break down with everything that has been happening in Senegal and in our legal system and in our social framework. Think together about it. He would have to listen to people, to listen to Senegalese people, and to take into account deeply their expectation. I think that as they have promised in their programs, they have to do a reform of all our institutions, particularly the legal institution. But what is very urgent for him to do is to allow people to start living a better life, because we know that last year Senegalese people have been in very difficult situation economically, socially, and in terms of securities, and he will have to address all these issues, and it will be not easy, and Senegalese people would have to be passionate for him. I guess not so passionate because there are many expectations from the population.
People are saying that he has no much of an experience in terms of how he will run the country. Do you think for the next 1 year it's going to be a trial, putting Senegal on a test run to see if he'll be able to handle the country? And
I think that in the Senegalese system has been so destroyed that it will be very difficult to address it on 1 year. I feel that this year will be a wrap-up year, a year of social consultation, social reconciliation, and a year of debrief and brainstorm, if I can say it like this, so that we can move with serenity. It's true that it has been very difficult. People, especially youth, they have expectation, but it's not worth running fast without a deep reflection.
Mamjara Sobel is a civil society actor. Well, let's join Zankli Janko for sports news.
Hello out there, a warm welcome and thank you for joining us. Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, is set to appoint the next coach of the national football team, the Super Eagles. The NFF board, according to media reports, are expected to meet next week to decide on the vacant job for the Nigeria national team. Nigeria won their rivals Ghana in an international friendly last week under the tutelage of interim manager Finidi George. The former Super Eagles star George was appointed on interim basis to replace Jose Peseiro, who left the post after his contract expired. Although Peseiro led Nigeria to the final of the Africa Cup of Nations Côte d'Ivoire 2023, where they won silver, the NFF opted against renewing his contract. It is reported that more than 50 coaches have applied for the job to replace the Portuguese tactician for the hot seat. Among the prominent candidates for the job include former Nigeria internationals Emmanuel Amonike, Daniel Amokachi, and Sunday Olise. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
And we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink from West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Kristen Mukudi and Maudoju for the technical assistance. Well, let's keep the conversation coming on all of our social media platforms: X, formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, and Facebook West Africa Democracy Radio English Service. I am Imo Edet. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, New Me FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.